Alright guys, today we are going to go over a couple things. You have finished drawing and then shading your animal. You have blurred the shading with the tissue or the Q-tip, put in a habitat, and blurred all the shading that you wanted to with that. Today we're going to prepare to paint just the animals, okay? We're preparing. We're not actually going to paint. This is where you should be before we move on. If you haven't gotten here, go back and finish your drawing. Got to draw from reference, okay? Now you need to choose an animal color or colors, one or two related colors, okay? So we talked about analogous colors being next to each other on the wheel. We're going to custom mix those in the tray, and then we're going to practice gradients of each color in our sketchbook. We're going to do this before we start painting. You need a piece of paper in your sketchbook. You don't have to rip it out. A cup of water, no more than half full, paper towel, and brush. Now, you are probably working with either the regular watercolors or the glitter. So they both have different sets of colors, which is totally fine, but let's address some challenges, okay? I want to have hot pink and like a red violet. Red and red violet. Pink is really just red plus white, okay? And in watercolor language, that just means red plus a lot of water to turn it into pink. But I think that I am going to pick up a little bit of purple and make it more of like a red violet. Okay, so I'm going to make a custom color. You can do the same thing in your palette until you get the color that you want. And then to make, because we have to have different gradients or values of that, you're just going to add more water. So I have my main color here. I can put a little there, and then now I have a much lighter version of that. Then I can put a little bit here, and I can even have more water and have a lighter version, okay? So I have different values of red. Now I'm also going to work with purple or violet. So I'm going to put that here, and I can make a lighter version and an even lighter version, okay? So that's how I would use the regular watercolors if I had them. Some of you have the glitter watercolors. So the colors are a little different than the others, but you make it work. You kind of just have to work with what you want. Remember though, when we're using these glitters, it's very tempting to take that brush and dig in. Okay, I want you to just pet it nicely. Imagine you're petting a kitty and scratching its back lightly, okay? And get that in there. And you can also mix some custom colors. You just don't see it as much with them, and you do have to kind of add more pigment when you're using those glitters to get to your custom colors. But I would say that both sets of paint have their benefits, and both have not so beneficial things, okay? All right, so we've chosen the animal color. How do you choose that? I want you to just follow your heart. I feel like this manatee, the mom manatee, is like a purple, and then the baby is a red violet. That's what I feel. Just feel that, as long as it's a fantasy color, okay? It can't be the real color of your animal. And then mix them custom in the tray if you need to mix any colors. And then practice gradients, okay? So you remember gradients were from dark to light. So if we were shading a gradient in our neurographic, we shaded very lightly, we've added more pressure, more layers, and we got to dark. Then when we painted it the following week, we went more water into less water, okay? So now I want you to practice gradients of each of the colors that you're going to use in your foreground or in your animal. And I want it to be very dark on one side, put a little water into that, paint just water on the paper, kind of let it flood in, and then back it up even more. Okay, so that's a gradient. Now, if I'm not getting enough color, I can come dark on this side and let that flood in, and you can see now I have a true gradient, okay? So I want you to try that with each of your colors. I'm using red violet and violet on my manatees. So I need to practice all those values, because one of the things that I'm going to grade you on is if you have some good gradients in the animal. The animal should be monochromatic, which means tints and shades of one color, or values of one color. So I need you to really work on getting some darks and lights. So take your time and in your sketchbook, show me those gradients. Thanks.